continue that way if we're going to achieve the enrollment goals that we've set. To put enrollment into context, we hit a very significant low this past fall with 1,555 freshman students. We've been able to buffer the decline in freshman enrollment every year using e-learning course enrollments in the graduate programs, enrollments on other campuses. But we've had a steady decline in freshman full-time enrollment on this campus. And in order to do the things that we all want to see done here, whether it is improving the compensation packages, to improving the program funding, department funding, having resources available to do all of the things we'd like to do, our success hinges on our ability to rebuild full-time student enrollment and retain those students in a larger percentage than we have in the past. So with that, we've launched this program this year. To understand this, it's been a multi-year decline. It will take 3 to 5 years to get where we want to go. So this effort has to continue. It will be enhanced this fall with a very substantial marketing effort on the part of the university. We are reaching out to a much larger geographic region than ever before. We see the border states of Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, and to a lesser extent Kentucky as a regional base that we should be very successful in recruiting from. We are also looking to metropolitan areas around the country where we have a strong alumni presence. Atlanta comes to mind, as well as parts of Florida. There's absolutely no reason why we can't be successful in enlarging the program that we currently have. To enhance the prospects, we've instituted the Border State Scholarship Plan. The benefits of this plan are that we're raising the academic expectations of students coming in on that scholarship. The scholarship's $3,500 if you have a high school grade point average, cumulative grade point average of 275 and a ACT of 23. You might think 275 might be a little bit low, but if you look at the grade inflation that's been going on in West Virginia due to the promised scholarship in the high schools, 275 is certainly equivalent to a 3.0 in West Virginia. We honestly think that this program is a very strong program. Essentially what we're doing for the border states is bringing the tuition with the scholarship down to what the metro rate has been in the metro counties. Now, to understand the significance of the academic expectations, you need a 2.0 and a 19 ACT to qualify for the metro rate. So we've essentially elevated the expectations, and the response to this program in terms of the feedback we're getting has been tremendous. Now, will we see it all in this fall coming up? No. The process of recruiting students is a courting process. It begins in earnest in the sophomore year. It's accentuated in the junior year, and for lack of a better term, hopefully consummated in the senior year with the students deciding they're going to come here. And so the whole process is at least a 3-year process, and you could argue that the influence really begins in the freshman year. To be perfectly blunt, we have not been doing this as a university very effectively. And so arguably we're several years, 3 years behind in some cases. And so what we're going to see probably this fall is an increase in freshman enrollment that will be a modest increase. The following year, based on what we're seeing with juniors and sophomores, but especially juniors, the fall of 08, I think, will be more substantial, and we're going to keep moving in this direction. With this comes some challenges in terms of what we need to do programmatically around campus to not only improve our freshman recruiting, but also to improve retention and graduation rates. We have made significant progress in both of those areas, but I think looking ahead, we need to continue that forward momentum. And as a result, we are looking at developing, or at least advancing, what we're going to call the first-year experience program. This is a program that's tied to a student success plan. It's tied to a first-year reading experience of a common book. And there's a number of other elements that are already in place that we want to integrate in this process in this program. We're looking at a common project for all freshman students coming in that will be a service project. We invite the rest of the community to be part of that project as well, and we'll be announcing that very soon. Along with this comes the idea of reconceptualizing the general education program to focus on core foundations of general education. And I've been meeting with various committees around campus to talk about this. In all likelihood, what I'll do in the next couple months is do a white paper with embedded information that we'll send out to all faculty over the summer for people to take a look at. Obviously, we're going to put some one-time money behind these projects so we can get them moving. But the most important part of this is to establish what are the foundations that every student must master and reach a certain threshold of development in order to be prepared for the world of the 21st century and what lies ahead. And I've outlined some ideas. I've shared these ideas with various committees. This is nowhere near done from the standpoint of being final, but it's simply to seed the ideas, seed the dialogue, and hopefully encourage fairly generalized participation in this reform process. So I invite your participation. We will continue to put things up on the web and send them out electronically so everybody can be involved. Along with this comes the Capstone Project, and the common thread to all of this is improving the experiences on campus, both from the point of view of campus life, residence life, and improving retention and improving enrollment. The Capstone Project, as it stands right now, is a three-part construction project. There's a fourth component dealing with a softball field, because we're going to be moving and using the current space that the softball field's located on, but we're not financing it through that project. The two new living learning residence halls will have on the first floor 2 classrooms. One of the classrooms will function as a DVD theater in the evenings during the off hours. The other classrooms will be available for Uni 101 for classes to be taught in the residence halls. There will be 2 faculty apartments. One's a 1-bedroom, one's a 2-bedroom in each of the residence halls. There'll be a seminar room, and basically it's the integration of living and learning and the design of the residence halls. In addition, the Recreation Center, which will be located on the corner of 5th Avenue and 3rd and 20th Street, is also part of this scope of the project, and the goal is to get the residence halls online by August of 2008 and to have the Recreation Center open by January of 2009. Our analysis and information that's been shared with us is that these 2 projects together will make a very substantial difference in our recruiting efforts. Whether we like it or not, students of today are very amenity conscious, and the absence of these types of facilities, especially the Recreation Center, is a deterrent to students coming to Marshall University. We've got everything else. We've got outstanding academic programs. We've got facilities like the library and others that are attractive, but students today expect that country club atmosphere, whether we like it or not. Recently, we announced a new engineering laboratory building. It's a $3.5 million project. It's essential for ABET accreditation for the undergraduate engineering program, and it's the first of a 2-part or 2-phase engineering construction project. Let me elaborate a little bit again on the Capstone Project. Because of the way we're financing the Capstone Project, which is with a partner from the private sector, all of the operating costs of those buildings, all of the maintenance costs and so on, will be borne by that partnership. The university will not put anything into that. It's essentially going to be funded through bonds, and we will have reserve funds and so on. So this will not be part of the operating budget of the university until those buildings become the property of the university. We have a ground lease arrangement. Capstone Management will manage the residence halls, and we have another management firm that's skilled in managing recreation centers, and the fees from the room rates and from the fee for the recreation center will finance and pay back the bonds. When the bonds are paid off, all the properties revert to the ownership of the university. So I think it's important for you to know that there's no operating cost component that's going to flow back to the university with this. As I mentioned, the laboratory building for engineering is very critical for what we want to accomplish in engineering, and this is the first of a two-phase project. We have 3 vice president searches on their way right now. The vice president for research, we will have candidates coming for campus interviews in the very near future. Also, the vice president for development and CEO of the foundation. This weekend, we're actually going to be doing off-campus interviews with candidates. And the vice president for multicultural affairs position, that search will be getting underway shortly. With regard to funding of the Marshall Institute for Interdisciplinary Research, which has been something I've worked very hard on this past year, we are not ready yet to make an announcement on that, but we've been working very hard on it, and we're moving ahead on that initiative. With regard to the capstone project, and I'll go back to that one more time, and I think it's important, this project, because of the financing, which is very new to the university and certainly new to the state, the time and effort that have gone into that project has been enormous. There have been a lot of people involved with it. Herb Carlitz put in tremendous time, Mike Meadows, members of our Board of Governors, and so on. And so it's been very much a partnership, but a very time-intensive process. Just a reminder on commencement, it's May 5th, a week from this Saturday at 9 a.m. Homer Hickam will deliver the commencement address and be an honorary doctoral degree recipient, and Ken Heckler will also receive an honorary doctoral degree. The faculty picnic, which began last year, the Sunday following commencement, will be Sunday, May 6th. Tentatively, the time is 3:30 to 5:30, and I'll confirm that. An invitation should be going out very, very shortly. There are many other things going on, which is why I think the use of the types of electronic documents is very beneficial rather than taking more time today. If you have any questions, please email me. And I would like to thank the retiring faculty members for their many years of service here. You truly have made a difference in Marshall University. And for our faculty who are receiving awards today, congratulations. And I commend you for your dedication, your success, and accomplishments. Thank you very much.
We have a special guest today. I want to introduce Kay Goodwin, who is the West Virginia Secretary of Education and the Arts, and her Chief of Staff, Martha McKee. One of the agenda items for this year's faculty meeting is our floor nominations for the faculty position on the Advisory Council of Faculty representing Marshall University. Clayton Brooks will come forward to take the names. He is the recording secretary of the Senate. The Advisory Council of Faculty duties are elected in April of odd-numbered years, serves a 2-year term with unlimited successive terms. Term is July 1st through June 30th. Member also serves as an ex officio voting member of the Faculty Senate and its Executive Committee. The member presents reports to the Faculty Senate. Council meets each quarter or is called by the chair. Meetings are usually held before the HEPC meetings and at the same location. The Council advises the HEPC, the Chancellor, and the West Virginia Legislature. Members serve without compensation but are entitled to reimbursement for actual and necessary expenses. Council meets each summer to discuss and prepare their legislative agenda for the coming year. Dr. Ben Miller presently is our representative on that council and has probably served 10 terms. Do I hear a nomination from the floor for that position? Steve? Oh, sorry. Nominate Ben Miller. Ben Miller. Ben Miller has been nominated. I just want to nominate Dallas Brozek, please. Dallas Brozek? Any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, then we'll close the nominations. Now, we go to the MU Board of Governors for the faculty representative on the Marshall University Board of Governors. A full-time faculty member of the faculty with the rank of instructor or above, elected in odd-numbered years, serves a 2-year term and may be re-elected for 3 successive terms, not to exceed 8 consecutive years. Term is July 1st through June 30th. The board meets at least 6 times each fiscal year, including an annual meeting in June. The member also serves as an ex-officio, non-voting member of the Faculty Senate's Executive Committee. The member presents reports to the Faculty Senate. The board determines, controls, supervises, and manages the financial, business, and educational policies and affairs of the university. The board develops a master plan for the university, reviews all academic programs offered at the university, appoints the president of the university, and the members serve without compensation but are entitled to reimbursement for actual and necessary expenses. Dr. Jim Sotilli is the present board representative for the faculty. He has served 2 terms, so he is eligible for re-election. Do I hear nominations from the floor? Jim Sotilli has been nominated. Any other nominations? Yes? Monica Brooks. Any other nominations? Hearing none, then we'll close the nominations. You'll be getting notification of the time period for voting. Okay, it will be an online vote. Thank you very much for that business item. Now we come to the recognition of retiring faculty. So I'll ask Dr. Dale Schau to come up, and Dr. Kopp is already over there. The 17 people in your program that are listed on the retirement list represent 415 years of service to Marshall University. Good service. Okay. So as I call the names, if they are here present, then come on down, and then we will have a group picture of the retirees that are here. Dr. Kenneth Ambrose, Sociology and Anthropology Chair, and he has been at Marshall 32 years. Now, today they're only getting a certificate, okay? But they will receive their choice of whether they want a chair or a gift certificate from the bookstore. Dr. Howard Olick, Physiology Department, Director of Merck, 23 years. Dr. Elwin Bellis, Physics Department, 25 years. Mr. Lance Belleville, Management Department, 11 years. Dr. Stephen Fish, okay. Dr. Stephen Fish, Pathology and Anatomy Department, 20 years of service. Dr. Gary Gilbert, Obstetrics and Gynecology, 15 years. Dr. John Lancaster, Mathematics Department, 34 years. Do we have slides? I don't know. Okay. Dr. Charles Lloyd, Classics Department, 35 years of service to Marshall University. Dr. Lloyd is the speaker today for the honorary in Classics, for the honorary organization, so he wanted to let you know that he's occupied, but otherwise he would be here. Dr. Mary Marshall, Exercise Science, Sport, and Recreation Division, 40 years. That's it. Miss Marilyn McClure, Journalism, Parthenon Advisor, 13 years. Retirees need to, Mary, stay up so that we can get a group picture. Marilyn, are you here? Dr. Jane McKee, School of Education, Associate Dean, 20 years. Dr. Edwina Pendarvis, Teacher Education Division, 28 years. Dr. William Roten, Anatomy and Pathology Chair, 16 years. Dr. John Shields, Pathology Department, 4 years. Dr. Karen Simpkins, Sociology and Anthropology, 31 years. Dr. Ralph Taylor, Integrated Science and Technology, 35 years. Ms. Cora Teal, Spatial Collections, 33 years. If we would have the retirees, Rick will put you in some kind of order. Thank you very much. Distinguished Service Awards will be presented by Dr. Sarah Denman, Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs.
Thank you very much. This is quite an honor to be able to present the Distinguished Service Awards, and we have a wonderful group of people this year who are receiving these. They have been nominated by their peers, and their peers gave very succinctly the reasons that they think that they deserve this award. We'll begin with someone who gives his time so selflessly for the benefit of students in this institution, Dr. Gary Anderson, Department of Chemistry, College of Science. Gary has been at this institution for 26 years, and for all 26 years, one of his top priorities has been spreading the word about science and chemistry. He began performing his magic shows in the local community many, many years ago, and he performs them everywhere that anyone will invite him in to do it. Whether it's a school, a daycare center, libraries, churches, senior centers, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, Gary will go anywhere that someone wants to hear more about science and wants to learn how science can be exciting. But his service does not end with a magic show. He loves to talk about science, but he likes to promote the scholarship and the honorary of science. He has been working for over 5 years with the Chemistry Merit Badge with the Boy Scouts. He's on the board of directors of St. John's House, where he helps create after-school programs for children from disadvantaged homes. But the Alpha Chi Sigma is one of the dearest things to Gary Anderson, and he has served them well over the years. Everything from the Chemical Heritage Council, the Board of Trustees of their educational foundation, 3 times counselor to the American Chemical Society, chair and treasurer of the American Chemical Society local, president of the Sigma Xi Club for many years. He has done everything to promote not just the service and the teaching, but to recognize the importance of the fellowship and scholarship of chemistry and science. And in his college, he's done it all. He's been promotion and tenure committees for the department, for the college. He is also one of the founding people of doing electronic courses at this institution, and he loves teaching online. And I guess students love taking Gary's classes because hundreds of them do it every year, from here and all over the country and all over the world. Gary has become one of the go-to people if you want to learn how to do an online course. He also maintains the College of Science webpage, and he has been a staunch supporter of the SCORES program, the Information Technology Committee, and the Online Committee. I guess I would have to say that Gary Anderson is Marshall's science guy. But you know what? He's a science guy who always has a smile on his face and a love for teaching. Gary Anderson. The next person is someone who has served this institution 37 years. That's a lot of years. And you know what? She's done it in a very quiet manner. She's a one-person show in the College of Fine Arts when it comes to ceramics, and that's Earlene Allen. Earlene Allen is the Department of Ceramics. She is the teacher, the lab technician, she's the advisor, the mentor, she cleans up, she puts the stuff out, she orders the materials, and she arranges for any type of recognition for her students. She does all this way beyond what would be required of a faculty member. She also helped start the Ceramics Club, and it thrives only because of her leadership. She has students every year spending so much of their time making ceramic items in order to sell to support their travel to conferences and to help support the program of ceramics at this institution. But more than that, she has taught our students not just a skill. She has not just imparted to them an education, but she has taught them what giving back to a community means, and that it has to be part of our education. I think most of you are probably familiar with a project called Empty Bowls, and it is a project that is nationally, but here locally, it would not survive if it weren't for Earlene Allen and her students. And these are where students work all year preparing bowls to serve soup and to raise money for local food banks. People pay $10 to get a bowl of soup, and then they get to go home with a bowl made by art students, and if you're really lucky, a bowl made by Earlene Allen. She has raised with her students over $20,000 in the last several years for the local food bank, but it's the impact on her students. Her students leave here knowing that they can give back. I'm quite honored because over the years I actually possess 6 Earlene Allen bowls, and I treasure them. I actually have 26 bowls. If anybody comes to my office, they'll see I have a lot of bowls, but some of my most precious are the ones from Earlene Allen. In her very quiet manner, she has influenced thousands of students' lives by showing them that they can take their education and take their skills and convert it into service. She should make us all want to be a better person. Earlene Allen. The next person has given 37 years of service to this institution in a variety of ways, in the classroom, as a department chair, as a dean, in just a variety of different ways. But Dr. Leonard Deutsch is an exceptional person. He is, without a doubt, the voice and the face for so many years of graduate education at Marshall University. There are so many things that he has been the person who has helped and mentored and brought about at this institution to make us stronger at the graduate level. Many of the things, and there's too many really to go into all of them, but he was one of the original campus coordinators and continues working with the EPSCoR research part of this institution. He was the one who really spearheaded creating certificates at the graduate level so someone could take a series of courses and have a recognition and then be more encouraged to actually finish and complete a master's degree. He started TA training workshops so that our graduate assistants who teach in the classroom will have a foundation before entering that classroom about what the expectations will be and how to be a better teacher of so many of our students. He helped us through his work with the Tubert Foundation to do more in the way of educating and supporting programs for the visually impaired. He also is the one who pointed us in the right direction with electronic thesis and dissertations, saving lots of trees in the process. He's worked with the Ron McNair program, with graduate assistantships with Concord College. He's created the advising awards at the graduate level. He helped shepherd us through 4 doctoral programs and getting the approval from the Higher Learning Commission. But I'd have to say that one of the crown jewels in his career has to be his work with our last self-study with the Higher Learning Commission. We worked very hard. Lenny made sure we did. He can be a taskmaster when he wants to be. But when we had the committee come here and visit this institution, and they were so impressed with what had been done and how it was done, and Lenny working with Jan Fox to make sure so much of it was electronic and the links were electronic and that everything worked, that they really looked at our self-study as a model for other institutions to use as a guide. You know, there's a saying that in higher education, ideas are great, but the devil's in the details. Well, I got to tell you, if there's a fight in the details, the devil will lose when it comes to Lenny. Because nobody pays more attention to details. Len Deutsch is the best proofreader you'll ever want. He is the standard keeper of this institution, and he is our policy conscience. But I got to tell you that that's the kind of person you want to make sure that in the end that the rights of students are honored. And that's really what policy so many times are about. So I got to tell you that this is the person who has been graduate education for so many years. But more than that, he has been what's good about Marshall University, Dr. Leonard Deutsch. Very true. It's probably most appropriate as we go to the next person who has served this institution for 26 years, both as a faculty member, then he left us for a while, and then he came back as a faculty member. And he has been 26 years with the Communication Studies Department, and that's Dr. Robert Edmonds. But he has done so many different things. He has been a mainstay with the Yeager Scholar Program for so many years. And the Artist Series has never had a better supporter. And I will tell you, the ushers know who Bob Edmonds is. And he makes sure everyone gets to their seat. And if he could just get the Artist Series to start on time, then we would be, we'd be home free. But anyway, he is also a very accomplished musician and is well known not just here locally, but nationally for his work with the musical instrument of the organ and working with that and to preserve them and to keep historic ones available and being used. And we have Bob to thank for when we hear the organ being played at the Keith Albee. He's worked very, very hard to keep that going. And I've got to tell you, one of the first calls I got about the 20th Street Baptist Church was from Bob. What are they going to do about the organ? And I was able to gratefully tell him that it's going to be saved. But beyond what he has done in all his career here, most of us know Bob as the guru of assessment. He is the face, he is the voice, sometimes a voice we didn't want to hear. He has, and in this state, I will tell you, there is no one held in higher regard when it comes to assessment than Bob Edmonds. Other institutions seek his counsel. He, with the University Assessment Committee, was the one who really established the departmental assessment plans and reports, the review of course syllabi, and the General Education Assessment Committee. He devotes himself with numerous workshops. He has worked tireless hours reviewing and critiquing plans. You know, I would say some people sometimes kind of groused a little, Bob, because you are a taskmaster when it comes to assessment. But in the spring of when the spring of '06, when the Higher Learning Commission visited, and they said that this was one of the finest assessment programs they had ever seen, and they said, quote, "You get it. You understand this. We wish other institutions did." I don't know about you, but I was pretty glad that day that the assessment taskmaster was in our corner, Bob Edmonds. I get the fun part. I get to hug everybody. Our next person has been here 20 years, which is good because that's the minimum requirement for getting this award, so we're very glad that she made it in under the wire. And I will tell you that in the letters of support that I got for her in her nomination, more than once the phrase superlative educator was used, that she was the person who defined what an educator and someone who is in the discipline of education and teacher training should be. And that's Jane McKee, who has been here at Marshall with us for 20 years. She began, though, her career as a public school teacher, teaching English, social studies, and drama. She has been the West Virginia Teacher of the Year in the public schools. There aren't a lot of people who can claim that fame, and it's a wonderful honor. She so closely is linked with the term NCATE, and that's an accrediting association, and anybody who's associated with colleges of education or schools of education or graduate schools of education knows what NCATE means. It can strike fear in your heart, but mostly it sets people to work, but some people have to carry the water. And Jane's done it more than once in her 20 years at Marshall University. She has been the linchpin on many occasions. She has been a person who has aggressively pursued grants, and she has been a part of so many state programs that have an impact on public education today. Now I got to tell you, nobody can do acronyms better than education. when you talk about EPAC, TAC, RESA, they've got something for everything. Well, and Jane's on each and every one of them. She's a visionary leader, and particularly in the area of the professional school development partnerships. And when she first started working with that, we had 1 here at Marshall University. Now we have 12, including 1 in California, which we will have student teachers being placed there in the fall of this year. I'd like to give you an end with a quote that was in a letter. Her finest service lies in this joyous contagion, a spark that ignites in others the will and ability to likewise serve. If you can do that, then you've been successful. Jane McKee. You are so welcome. The next person has been a part of this institution for 28 years, but I got to tell you that he and I go back further than that. We came here as freshmen together in 1966. Now, you can do the math on that one. But Keith Spears has been a part of this institution for over 28 years, and he has been a fixture at this institution. If there ever was a voice of Marshall, all you would have to do is go to a video or audio library at this institution, listen to every video that's been done for an award, listen to commercials, listen to everything, whether it's been those, those voicemails we get. It's the voice of Keith. And Keith is a voice that we have heard for so many years. He has been in so many different parts of this institution. He has been a professor, he has been a chair of speech communication, he's been general manager of Marshall's television station, he's been the dean of extended education and ran the RBA program, he was vice president for institutional advancement and vice president for communication, and for 1 year he was vice chancellor for instructional technology for the entire state. He has been so many things to this institution. He helped edit the online alumni magazine Evergreen and was an integral part of the magazine called Marshall that has become so important to the community and to this institution. He is also an events person, and I think sometimes we take events for granted. We arrive and everything goes well, and we forget the hours and the work that it takes to make everything go well. And Keith has done that for us here at Marshall for so many years. And I guess after last year, Keith Spears will forever be associated with one phrase, and that's "We are Marshall." Keith Spears is Marshall. Thank you. The next person has been a part of this institution for 21 years, and that's Dr. Michael Sullivan. But I have to tell you, he started as a cost accountant for Dow. Now, are we ever glad that didn't last? And it's not just that we're glad that that career didn't last, but I think the state of West Virginia is glad that that career did not last. If there ever was a face that is Mr. Special Education, it's Mike Sullivan. Let me just detail that a bit for you. From 1997 to the present, he is the executive director of the West Virginia Advisory Council for Exceptional Children. He was also the director from '83 to '88. From 2005 to the present, he is a member of the management team for the West Virginia State Special Education Improvement Grant. From 1999 to the present, he's a member of the Board of Directors of the West Virginia Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, appointed by the governor. Since 2000 to 2005, he was a member of the steering committee for the West Virginia self-assessment process in special education. And from 1991 to the present, he has been a referee for the American Council on Rural Special Education for conference proceedings and papers. And he is presently, since 1999, the program director at the Graduate School for Education and Professional Development for Special Education. He devotes his entire life to special education. He is the voice of children with special needs. He is also the advocate for teachers who teach children with special needs. And he is part of the support for parents of children with special needs. He has an unbelievable reputation in this state and at the national level as well. And as he continues to also have a heavy teaching load and advising load, always teaching overloads for us. He is committed to what he does. He is committed to the study of special education. He is a tireless worker, and in his very quiet manner, he is the voice for thousands who have no voice. Mike Sullivan. Well, I get to talk about the final person. She told me if I spoke more than 10 seconds, she would give me this kind of sign. But you know what? She doesn't have the microphone. And that's someone who has given us, to this point, 31 years of service at this institution, and that's Dr. Donna Spindell. She has served this institution in so many different and varied ways. She is currently the chair of the history department since 2005, but previously, from 1989 to 1995, she was the chair as well. She has been the university coordinator for online instruction, and that in itself has moved this institution forward in a tremendous way. She is the online e-course woman. And when people have a question about, can I do it? I don't know. We always tell them, well, talk to Donna. She'll show you how to do it. She will explain it in a way that anyone can understand. And that's because she's a teacher. And she is universally recognized for her innovative teaching and her approaches to teaching history. And as I said, she has coordinated this. She has moved us forward as an institution. Her respect in the academic community at Marshall University is tremendous. And it's because she exemplifies, understands, and supports the academic reason that we're here. She is a teacher and she is a scholar, but she is also a visionary when it comes to change. She has developed 4 online courses, and she can communicate what it is all about and how to do it in a very significant way. Even administrators can understand it when Donna explains it. She has been the Associate Dean of the College of Liberal Arts for 4 years. She was director of our honors program for, I think, 3 or 4 years. She was co-editor of the catalog for a while. She has served on so many committees that they are too numerous, really, for me to say. She exemplifies the achievements and integration of the teacher-scholar role. Her record is as diverse as it is extensive. She is the person whose record of dedication to the betterment of this institution can simply stand as the benchmark for all of us. She is dedicated to excellence, but she is dedicated to her students. If we had a best of the class, she'd be at the front of the line. Donna Spindell. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Dr. Leonard Deutsch will do the presentation of the Outstanding Graduate Advisor Award.
Because resources are so limited here at Marshall, I started an advisory board. A member or two of the advisory board was an employee of Ashland Inc. Ashland Inc. has a matching arrangement when people from that company make a donation. So we do have $1,000 checks to give out. I wish that there really were $1,000 checks in these, but they will be transformed into $1,000 checks soon. But I do want to acknowledge Ashland Inc. I also want to thank the Graduate Council. They considered 30 applications for the Outstanding Advising Award. We do have one from each campus. Is Mariana Foto-Linz here? Dr. Linz from the Huntington campus will come up. Congratulations. We are going to be preparing a press release that will detail exactly why these individuals were chosen. John, would you please come up? So you will be able to. We don't want to spend too much time this afternoon with that, but of course, graduate advising at any level is very important, and we want to acknowledge that too for the South Charleston campus, John Biros.
The presentation of the Distinguished Artists and Scholars Award will be Dr. Venkat Gudavada.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to talk about the accomplishments of MU DASA Award winners. Over the past few years, the MU Distinguished Artists and Scholars Awards Committee has had a unique opportunity to review a little of Marshall University's wealth of talented artists and scholars. Again, selecting a winner from our many talented colleagues, artists and scholars, is an artist's task. All are very deserving. The quality of the candidates is an indicator of Marshall's progress towards national prominence. This year, for MU DASA Junior Award, the committee has chosen Dr. Solon Dickener. For Dr. Dickener received his Doctor of Music degree in cello performance from Michigan State University. He came to Marshall University in year 2002. He is now Assistant Professor of Cello and Director of Symphony Orchestra. Dr. Dickener recently started a summer music program at Academy Dakka in Turkey. He serves as a music director and faculty member at this academy. This initiative will eventually be an important recruiting venue for Marshall. He is a marvelous cellist and performs frequently, locally, nationally, and abroad. In 2004, he discovered music for cello written by composers Ahmed Segun, Ilhan Usmanbas, Senziz Tank, and Cameron Ince. Most of this music is not performed or recorded before. During 2004-2007, Dr. Dickener recorded this musical work for cello, solo, and piano accompaniment. He presented these select works in a live concerts in Vienna, Austria, and Izmir, Turkey, by collaborating with European artists. These works were also presented in live performances in Huntington, Morgantown, and Memphis. Dr. Dickener recorded music is in print in Turkey with AK Music Company. The same content will also be printed by Albany Records Company in New York. These works possess a high rank of musical quality. Through these contributions, Dr. Dickener brings the cellular works by the 20th century modern Turkish composers to a larger audience around the world for the first time. Please recognize this year's Marshall University Distinguished Artists and Scholars Award winner in the junior category, Dr. Solon Dickener. So this year's MU DASA committee has selected Dr. Hongwei Yu for the Senior Category Award in Sciences and Technology. Dr. Yu received his PhD in molecular pathogenesis from the University of Calgary, Canada, and came to Marshall University in year 1999. He is now Associate Professor of Biochemistry and Microbiology in Marshall University School of Medicine. He is also Adjunct Associate Professor in Department of Pediatrics in Marshall University School of Medicine. Hongwei is a leader in microbial genetics research. Primary goals of his research are to determine the genetic and biochemical basis for biofilm formation in Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and to discover molecules that can block biofilm formation and be used in the treatment of Pseudomonas lung infections. In 8 years at Marshall, he has received over $1.5 million in external funding from a variety of federal, state, and private sources. Dr. Yu has recently filed for a patent on a method for controlling the biofilm production in Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Dr. Yu and Dr. Richard Niles have licensed this technology from Marshall and formed a small biotech company in Huntington. He has published over 21 articles in peer-reviewed prestigious journals. Hongwei has been a dedicated mentor for students, postdoctoral fellows, and medical residents. Please recognize this year's Marshall University Distinguished Artists and Scholars Award winner in the Sciences and Technologies Senior category, Dr. Hongwei Yu. So for the senior category, Arts, Social Sciences, Humanities, Education, and Business, the MU DASA committee has selected Dr. Luke Eric Lassiter for the senior category award. Dr. Lassiter received his PhD in anthropology from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. He came to Marshall University in year 2005. He is now Professor of Humanities and Anthropology and Director of the Graduate Humanities Program at Marshall University Graduate College. Dr. Lassiter is nationally recognized leader in collaborative ethnography, a kind of participatory action research that involves local communities in the research and writing process. He has received numerous grants from both academic and community organizations, including Virginia B. Ball Center for Creative Inquiry, the American Anthropological Association, and the Oklahoma Historical Society. Dr. Lassiter is a recipient of the 2005 Margaret Mead Award, a highly prestigious award that recognizes a scholar whose work makes anthropological data and studies accessible to the broader public. In addition to the Margaret Mead Award, he has received other awards, including Indiana African American History Award, Ball State University's Junior Faculty Award, and induction into Phi Kappa Phi Honor Society. He has published 8 books, written over 45 essays, articles, and reviews, and presented more than 55 papers at national and international venues. Please recognize this year's Marshall University Distinguished Artists and Scholars Award winner in the Arts, Social Sciences, Humanities, Education, and Business Senior category, Dr. Luke Eric Lassiter. So MU DASA also presents a team award. This year, the committee has selected Drs. Bonita Lawrence and Ralph Oberste-Orth for this award. Dr. Bonita Lawrence received her PhD degree in mathematical sciences from the University of Texas, Darlington. She came to Marshall University in year 2001. She is now Associate Professor of Mathematics. Dr. Lawrence has published over 20 articles in prestigious journals and conference proceedings, authored and edited 2 books, delivered several major addresses, and obtained funded grants. Most recently, she received a 5-year grant from the National Science Foundation in collaboration with the University of Kentucky. Dr. Ralph Oberste-Orth received his PhD in mathematics from Cornell University. He came to Marshall University in year 2002. He is now Professor of Mathematics. Dr. Oberste-Orth also serves as the chair of the Mathematics Department and head of the Division of Mathematics and Applied Science. Dr. Oberste-Orth has published over 15 articles in prestigious journals and conference proceedings, authored and edited 3 books, delivered several major addresses, organized research conferences, and held academic appointments at the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton University and Yale University. Late in the spring of 2004, Drs. Lawrence and Oberste-Orth embarked on an ambitious project in an area of mathematics called time scales, which attempts to unify the discrete and continuous aspects of many mathematical fields, such as differential equations and difference equations. Time scales is a part of a larger field called dynamical systems. Time scales originated in the late 1980s and has exploded recently. The joint work on this project by Drs. Lawrence and Oberste-Orth has resulted in significant original research, graduate student theses, numerous regional, national, and international presentations. 2 of the graduate students who worked on this project, Kelly Hall and Elizabeth Duke, gave invited presentations at international conferences in Germany and Greece. Please recognize this year's Marshall University Distinguished Artists and Scholars Team Award winners, Dr. Bonita Lawrence and Dr. Ralph Oberste-Orth.
Professor Karen Bailey will present the Pickens Queen Teaching Award.
Hi. Through a gift from Glenn and Carol Queen, an award has been provided to recognize and give evidence of the importance placed on teaching at Marshall University. These awards, known as the Pickens Queen Awards, are intended to provide encouragement and incentive for achievements in teaching. Candidates for this award must meet specific criteria, including being full-time tenured track faculty at the rank of instructor or assistant professor and having less than 6 years of service to the university. Today's honored recipients of the Pickens Queen Awards were selected after a committee of their peers reviewed their portfolios, which included student evaluations, an essay describing their teaching philosophy and methods, letters of support from students and colleagues, and finally, by being observed teaching in their classroom by a committee of 13 peers. It is my pleasure to announce our outstanding junior faculty and present them with the prestigious Pickens Queens Awards. Each winner will receive a $1,000 stipend and a beautiful plaque acknowledging their achievements as exemplary teachers at Marshall University. And in no particular order. Our recipients are Dr. Lachlan Whalen. Dr. Whalen is an assistant professor of English at Marshall University. He has served 4 years in this position. He teaches both undergraduate and graduate classes here. Committee members remarked on his relaxed, non-threatening demeanor and that he had the capability to embrace every student's comments in such a way that he showed merit and gave value to students' opinions. His teaching style was described as comfortable, and it was noted that he discussed his poems with the students and used thoughtful questions to stimulate critical thinking. Dr. Whalen's students remarked that he was an extraordinary professor and that if they possibly could, they would take him for all their classes. Additionally, I'd like to acknowledge that he has a book coming out in November. It's entitled Contemporary Irish Republican Prison Writing, and it'll be published by the Palgrave Macmillan in November, an analysis of texts by Northern Irish political prisoners like Bobby Sands and Jerry Adams. Dr. Rhonda Sturgill. Dr. Sturgill is an assistant professor and faculty in the ESSR department. She has served 2 years in this position. Through her outstanding teaching excellence, she has provided service to this university and has achieved excellent student evaluations, including comments such as she is sensitive to her students' needs, she genuinely cares, and we love her so much. Committee members commented about her ability to tackle sensitive personal issues in a straightforward yet non-threatening way. Her ability to manage a diverse classroom with multiple stations and activities with her hands-on athletic training clinicals were noted as being amazing, and she was said to quiz, direct, assist, and demonstrate, encouraging all at once. She was identified as a strong classroom leader and an extraordinary educator. Dr. Sturgill. And our third recipient is Professor Pamela Holland. Professor Holland is an assistant professor in her 4th year of service at Marshall University in the College of Health Professions, Communications Disorders. Professor Holland's philosophy included her desire to make a fun learning environment for her students. Being a speech pathologist, she stated that she felt learning takes place best when students can use all their senses to learn, through observation and through service. Her desire to facilitate learning through service was evident by her involvement with her students with the children at the City Mission, where she teaches by example. Professor Holland was said to be always teaching and that she has a love of learning. Committee members commented that she has excellent classroom rapport with the students and had clearly developed a relaxed environment in which students felt free to respond. She was able to engage students and provide a safe environment in which they could learn. Professor Holland. Thank you.
Dr. Karen Mitchell will present the Reynolds Outstanding Teacher Award. If you will turn to your right, Dr. Mitchell is in the second box. Dr. Mitchell's in the classroom. She can do it.
But in this classroom, instead of students staring blankly straight ahead as the principals of the theory were listed, she had every single student in the classroom involved. They were all actively engaged in understanding this material. We spend 5 minutes at the end of class and ask students direct questions about their experiences in the classroom. Students have to go on classes, we'll get comments from the more vocal students often, and then they're dashing out the door. We had to chase them away. Every single student wanted to make sure that we heard from them about how interesting the class was, how relevant the information was, how willing Sissy is to help them both in the classroom and outside the classroom. Then we went on to talk to colleagues. Well, this is a difficult meeting to arrange. All the faculty have classes. Whenever we decide to have a meeting, it's always going to set someone out. It was very early in the morning when this meeting was arranged. I opened the door, and there is a room full of faculty members waiting. And again, every one of them eager to share some story about how Sissy had helped with curriculum development, had mentored a new faculty member, had worked with the dreaded intake, was very responsible to the needs of students during advising, willing to help graduate students with their research. And the people who couldn't show up for the meeting sent me emails telling me the same things. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce the 2006-2007 winner of the Reynolds Award, Thelma Sissy Isaacs.
The Hedrick Outstanding Faculty Award will be presented by Professor Gary McElveen.
I guess I am batting cleanup again this year. Let me start by reading a couple of quotes that I think are summarized very well and will reflect some of the thoughts of this year's recipients. If you want to understand today, you have to search yesterday, by Pearl Buck. History is a vast early warning system, by Norman Cousins. Perhaps nobody has changed the course of history as much as the historians, Franklin P. Jones. A nation that forgets its past can function no better than an individual with amnesia, David McCullough. Anybody can make history, only a great person can write it, Oscar Wilde. Again, I consider it an honor to present an award that recognizes not only great teaching, but also scholarship and creative activity. The Hedrick Outstanding Faculty Award is given annually and recognizes a professor that is referred to not only as a peer, as a friend, and a student, and a mentor, but also, by most, instead of professor, teacher, and scholar. This year's recipient truly lives the life of a scholar and a teacher. This award wouldn't be possible without the generous contributions of Mr. Charles B. and Mary Jo Locke Hedrick. They not only fund this award, but also a scholarship program for the students, a tutoring program for elementary students through Marshall's College of Education and Human Services, the Center for Teaching Excellence, and grants for teaching innovations. As members of Marshall's Pathway of Prominence, the Hedrick family shows continued support and demonstrates confidence in Marshall's faculty, its students, and educational programs. The Hedrick family truly support and honor teaching and learning and place great value on scholarly and creative activity. This award is in honor of Mr. Hedrick's father, Dr. Charles E. Hedrick. Dr. Hedrick taught in Marshall's History Department and was one of the founders of Marshall University's Graduate College. On behalf of Marshall University, I would like to sincerely express our gratitude and thanks to the Hedrick family for their generous support and unending support for Marshall University, its students, and teachers. One of the things I like about this award is that it does focus on multiple areas, and it looks as much on scholarly and creative activity as it does on teaching. The scholarly activity of this year's recipient is exemplary. She has multiple publications in the Encyclopedia of European Social History, as well as the Encyclopedia of Social History, the Journal of West Virginia Historical Association, the History Teacher, and the Oxford Encyclopedia of the Modern World. She has not only authored journals in English, but in other languages as well. She is a true scholar. She has authored papers, essays, served as a commentator in Barcelona and in the U.S. She has reviewed books and currently has a manuscript titled Feeding Barcelona, Market Halls, Social Networks, and Consumer Culture, 1714 to 1975 in press. She has been a recipient of multiple research grants and scholarly awards, one of which is the Program for Cultural Cooperation between Spain's Ministry of Culture and the United States University's Research Grant. With this said, it exemplifies her scholarly activity. But with student comments, I think you'll see the vastness of how this professor, this teacher, impacts her students' lives. And reading a couple of them. As in teaching in science, we always say, in a science field, there's a cause and effect. And this first definitely demonstrates that. The best class, the hardest class, and the most mind-broadening class I ever had. And I quote, "It kicked my butt, but I learned so much." And then the effect, I grew so much after the semester. A truly intelligent, driven, kind, and fair woman. Another student writes, "The most difficult professor I've ever taken, but will bring out the best in you. If you want to learn how to write, she'll help in any way she can. Very responsive to students. Love to hear her rich articulation." Another writes, "Absolutely the most difficult professor I ever had, but I learned from her more than anyone else. She is so incredibly helpful and clear on what she expects from students and is more than willing to help you improve." Again, a cause and effect. Students understanding that they have to be part of the improvement. And here's one of my favorites. "The Montserrat experience is like no other. Absolutely pure genius." She is the best at what she does. You'll definitely learn in the class. Just prepared to, and in all capital letters, work. You won't regret taking her. She challenged you to think for yourself. If you came to college thinking that you can just float through, then I suggest you turn the other way and run. She is one of the best professors on campus, period, in all caps. "The best teacher at Marshall, bar none. She knows her stuff. I would take her for every class if only she taught every class." "Dr. Miller is the best Marshall has to offer. She is everything I want to be. Great teacher, great class, very bright woman, quite an asset to Marshall. Love this teacher. She's awesome. I would have done better in her class if I would have worked harder. Hindsight is 20/20. Activity and in teaching. To present to you a scholar and teacher, the 2006 to 2007 Hedrick Outstanding Faculty Award recipient, Dr. Montserrat Miller.
care to go. Thank you. Thank you. On February 26th, we celebrated the 20th anniversary of the writing of the Constitution for the faculty at Marshall University. Also on the 28th of February, we unveiled the plaques that you will see in the lobby as you leave, recognizing the distinguished artists, the Pickens Queen, the Reynolds, and the Hedrick Award. The recipients of that award today, those names will then be added to that plaque. The permanent homes for that plaque will be in Drinker Library as you come off the elevator on the 4th floor. So this summer we will have those hung. We urge you to look at them so that we will add these recipients each year, and so it has a permanent home. Dr. Dimon mentioned the importance of event planning. I want to recognize Sue Tams for preparing the slides for today's performance. James Morris Smith and his theater staff, because he always provides well for all the events that we have here. And to Bernice Bullock, who does the programs and keeps me in line. She's the secretary in the Faculty Senate office. So please give them a round of applause. This is my favorite faculty meeting because it's the one that recognizes the retiring faculty and the award-winning faculty. It's all about the faculty. So we do thank the donors that endow and fund the awards. We thank Dr. Dimon and the Academic Affairs because a lot of times she supplements things as well as buys the plaques and so forth. And if she runs out of money, then Dr. Kopp, we thank the President's office. And also he provided the funds for me to have the reception for you in the lobby as you leave. Thank you very much for coming today and helping us to celebrate faculty. Thank you.